Hello students and welcome to Bio 100. I'm really excited that you're in my class. The purpose of this video is less for introductions, we'll do that in class, but more for I want to go through all the nitty-gritty of the course. This is the boring part and I don't want to spend class time doing this. So I'll try to be as fast as possible. You're only going to see my face right here, and then I'm going to go ahead and splice it together with just showing you this stuff. So we'll see you in class, but watch the rest of this video. Okay, first things first, I'd like you to explore. If you just have a minute, this will only take a minute. What I'd like you to do is go get a mirror, or it can be like from a compact or whatever, and I want you to, while only looking in the mirror, so you cannot look down, it helps to sort of put it up by your forehead, only looking in the mirror, I want you to draw the shapes you see on the screen and write your name, and this is important, so that it appears correctly in the mirror. Okay, so I want you to just pause for just a second and try to do that right now. Okay, so hopefully you had a chance to do that, and hopefully you saw that it was really hard. Now maybe some of you are really great, and that means you're going to make an awesome dentist or something. But for most of us, this is a really hard task, and I want you to think about why. Why is this so difficult to do? And I wish I could hear your responses, but you're probably thinking, well, I've got muscle memory. I've always learned it the other way, and in the mirror it was sort of backwards. And so it made it really hard. Did you ever find yourself sort of frustrated, wanting to yell at your hand? What's wrong with you? Why can't you do this? It's really hard for your brain to relearn something that you've learned a different way before. So my question is, had I shown you a PowerPoint ahead of time that said this, that vertical positions are opposite, so moving the pencil up and down is opposite, however horizontal positions are consistent, so moving the pencil right and left, so to write your name, it's going to be vertically inverted, but the letters will be in the same order. Do you think that would have helped you do it? I mean, if you don't believe me, you could pause right here and try it. I'll bet you it doesn't help. I'll bet you still that the first move you make will be wrong. And so it makes me wonder, is PowerPoint even effective? Well, it can be if it's used correctly. But the point is, you're not a blank slate. You're not an empty bucket into which I can pour information. You have to be able to learn through experience. And this is a little bit technical, don't memorize this or anything, but this is called equilibration theory, and it's a learning theory. And there's two parts to it. There's assimilation, which is just incorporating new information that you've never seen before. So when you first learn to write, it's hard, but it's not as hard as accommodation. Accommodation is when you already have something in your brain and you have to replace it with something new. And this requires cognitive conflict. You have to see that, oh gosh, what I was thinking or what I was doing is not quite right, and I'm going to try something new, and the process is really difficult. So the question is, how many of you think that you might have some preconceptions about biology, that you might know something or think you know something about biology? Hopefully all of you are thinking, of course, because hopefully all of you have been outside and seen a tree or something else. And we all live with ourselves and we're very much biological. So we have all kinds of ideas, and some of them are right, but some of them are very wrong, and we're going to have to do accommodation. And so the reason I tell you all of this is it will explain why I teach the course the way that I do. Okay, a couple other things I want to show you before we get into that is this. So you can take a minute and try to read that. It says that you're unique if you can read that, but actually it's not true. Most people can read that. And isn't that crazy that you can read that? And then we're going to watch this little video here. This is my son, who's now on a mission. He'd be mortified if he knew I was showing you this video. Oh, I have to preface this. We were reading the Good Samaritan in the scriptures, and I asked him to paraphrase it. And then I was like, oh my goodness, let me get my camera. And I had him paraphrase it again. Okay, so listen.
3 guys wouldn't help him, and when one came, he took the man and put him in his truck and started driving away. And then he woke up in a bed. He was nice and warm, and he had a couple bruises and cuts, and he felt really bad, but he was glad that the man helped him.
Okay, so isn't he cute? What did you notice? Did anybody catch the truck in ancient Israel? Isn't that funny? Why would he put a truck into that story? Well, it turns out that your brains are very, very adept at filling in gaps in your understanding. And sometimes we fill in gaps with total garbage. And that's because we are very uncomfortable with cognitive gaps, cognitive inconsistency. And so our brains will very quickly fill that in. And think about it, back in, like caveman days, if you were wondering, gosh, is that a lion or not? Wasn't it great that your brain just sort of filled in, yep, that's a lion, run? That's kind of where we're programmed to do that. And so as a consequence, while you are learning, if you miss something in class or you didn't quite catch it the first time, and then you're studying later, you may just fill in that hole with garbage, with preconceptions that aren't correct. And so the easiest way to prevent that is, number one, to say things out loud. I know that sounds crazy, but it is so important. Even if you're only talking to the wall, it's really important to say things out loud, because your brain is much more likely to catch where there are gaps in your understanding when you're speaking out loud. When you're just doing it in your head, your brain will gloss right over those gaps. But even more importantly, if you can say it to somebody else, especially somebody else who can correct you, so either a TA or somebody who's been in the class with you, a classmate, that will help you fill in those gaps with correct information. And then the last thing I'll offer you, for studying at least, is to watch my How to Study video that's posted on Canvas. And that'll help you. There's also a study module if you're interested. It's also on Canvas. It's optional. That'll just help you walk through being metacognitive about how you study. Okay, so back to how we learn. Why do I say all this? Well, I use a process called constructivism. It's based on the idea that we learn constructivist. And it's called the 5E learning cycle. And we're going to talk about it in a moment. About course structure, required supplies, there is a student packet. It's hard copy available in the bookstore for purchase, or I've provided a PDF for you on Canvas that you can use electronically. I'm not that inclined with electronics to be able to write on it, but a lot of you are. So if you want to do it electronically, that's fine, but you do need to have it with you every day in class. You do not turn it in. But we will follow it. And if you want to take it into the testing center, since the tests are open book and open note, you will need to print it somehow. So the bookstore provides it at the same cost as it would cost you to print elsewhere, so you can purchase it there. We'll also talk a little bit about how my other class is the opposite format of you, and so their packet might be useful to use on your homework if you want to do that. And I'll show you that in a minute. A smart device, sometimes we look things up on the internet, so bring your phone, a pencil to write with, scratch paper if you need it beyond what your packet is. The second thing is just a recommended supply. This is the textbook. So some students prefer to have a textbook for a different perspective or additional information. I do give you all the information you need in the online materials, so you don't need the textbook. However, Pearson has been generous and has offered an e-text version for $9.99 per month with an extra 10% off if you use their promo code LEARN10. And I've provided a little link and video for you to show you what cool features the e-text has if you're interested in those. Okay, so the structure of this course. I believe, in the way that I use constructivism, that learning takes place in two parts. So you attain the content and then you apply what you've learned. And it turns out that research shows that if you only learn the content and you don't practice applying it, that your knowledge becomes context specific, meaning that it only works in the given context you learned in class. And so that's why we do the concept application, to be able to help you see how the material is used in other ways. And so there's two ways to do this. There's a traditional approach where you come to class and we learn the content, and then you go home and you apply that content in a homework assignment. And there's a flipped approach where you obtain the content before coming to class in an online assignment, and then in class you do that concept application. Research that I've done on these shows that they are equivalent for BYU students. We are using the 5E learning cycle, and you can see how that breaks up between the two. So you either do your engage, explore, and explain in class and elaborate after class, or you do the engage, explore, explain before class and you elaborate in class. So your particular section, we are doing the traditional approach. I think both are great, and I've just decided to switch it up. And so you're doing the traditional approach, and another class that I'm teaching is doing the flipped approach. So both are great, like I said. And backing up. So what I said, though, your concept application activity is their packet that they're using in class. So if you wanted to have a packet to write and like structure your notes, you could purchase that. And I'll talk about that in class briefly in case you want to do that. All right, so what does this look like? It means that you come to class. I wish our classroom looked like that. And we will do an engagement and exploration activity. We have supplies, we talk to each other, we work in groups. It's not a traditional lecture-based class. We explain it to each other. I explain. You could follow up with a textbook if some things were unclear. And then you're going to go home and open up Canvas, where you will do a pre-homework quiz. This is supposed to be no stakes, really. So I recommend that the first attempt on this quiz you take without doing anything, right? Just see how much you learned from class to see if you really got it. Then the second attempt, you get 2 attempts on them. And the second attempt is totally open book, open person, open internet, open whatever you want to look up, and you get the higher of the 2 scores. So hopefully you can get 100% on those. Feel free to phone a friend, feel free to do it together, whatever. And then you're going to open up the homework assignment that we call Elaborate, and you're going to do that homework assignment and make sure you understand the material. You can do those as many times as you need to. You can work with a TA, you can work together. Obviously go see a TA if you need help. So what does that look like? So each day of class, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you will do this series, and then to the end of the unit. At the end of the unit, we have one day that's set aside as our science, literacy, and review, where we just put up the learning outcomes, and the TAs will be walking around and I'll be walking around, and we will help you prepare for the test. I also have a how to study video that I'll show you, and then you'll go into the testing center and take the exam. Like I said, it's open book and it's open notes, so you can take anything you've printed out or written on into the testing center with you, and if you purchase the textbook, you can bring that as well. And so then you go take the exam. Let's say you get an 87%. Well, I'd really like you to learn from what you've done. So if you go to an exam review session that's held by TAs weekly, you get an additional 5% back on your exam. So voila, you've got a 92%. Okay, so this is how the course is set up. As far as what each thing is worth. So we have a few research surveys that we do during the semester. Those are worth 5% of your grade. You will do the Engage, Explore, and Explain in class. I don't take attendance, but I guarantee you if you don't attend class, you're not going to do well in the class. And then you'll go home, you'll take that quiz that's worth 15% of your grade. You'll do the homework assignments worth 25% of your grade. And then the other remaining 55% of the grade is on assessment. So that's your 5 unit exams and the final exam, all in the testing center. The final exam is the only thing that's comprehensive. I also have a life happens cushion. What does that mean? Well, it means life happens. I understand that things can go wrong, or you just don't feel good, or you go on vacation. Don't do that in the middle of the semester, but whatever. You have these things that happen. And so I've built in this cushion so you can drop 1 research assignment, or research survey, excuse me. You can drop 5 explore quizzes and 5 elaborate homework assignments, and you can drop 1 exam. So what does that mean? Well, let's say you're just having a bad day, or you got in a car accident, or heaven forbid, or you had to attend a friend's wedding, or whatever. I don't even need to hear about it. You can just let it drop. Canvas will automatically drop it. Same thing with exams, right? We have this 1 exam drop. So let's say you forget to take an exam, or you have a really bad day, or you're really sick. I care, but I don't need to know. It just will be your drop, right? If you get a 0 because you missed it, that is your lowest score, and it will drop. So you don't need to feel guilty, email me, whatever, just let it drop. Now, obviously, if you have extenuating circumstances beyond those 5, please do let me know. I'm happy to work with people when things are really not going your way. All right, so then we're going to finally visit Canvas, which is what I use as our course management system, and we'll go through that. Your Canvas course. So again, I use Canvas, not Learning Suite. The address is byu.instructure.com. I will also put that link on Learning Suite in case you go to the wrong place. So when you enter the course, this is what it looks like. All the information you need to succeed is here. So your course information, this is probably the most important document you can download. These are the learning outcomes. And when you open this document, you will see that it tells you exactly what you need to be able to do. Notice I said it, not what you need to know, but what you need to be able to do each day of class. And so that is your study guide for exams. It is what you need to be able to do. Instructor information will give you my information, my office hours, where to find me, what to call me. My name's Dr. Jensen. My office hours, usually stay the same. They're on there. TA bios and office hours. If you click on this, it will have biographies of all of your TAs. Both of my classes, we learn the same thing. I teach 2 sections, and so you're welcome to use TAs from either class. That gives you lots and lots of options. Each TA, let me actually click on this. When we click here, each TA will have a weekly review. So once a week, they will hold a 1-hour review of what we've learned that week. And because there's so many of the TAs, you have lots of options of when to attend that. It's not required, just helpful. They also hold open office hours. And then once we start taking exams, they will hold these exam review sessions. So that's when you can go in and get your 5% back. And again, there's lots and lots of options. So just find one. You'll click on that link. Okay, always click the home page to get back to things. Here is the packet. So if you want to do it electronically, it is available for you. This is a suggested reading schedule if you end up getting access to the text, e-text, or hard copy. This is the schedule of exams, so you can get it on your calendar. These are FAQs. These are just over the years of accumulated common questions that students ask, and so you can read through that in case you feel like maybe you just missed it before you email me. This is the link to purchase the e-text. The Learn 10 is your 10% off coupon. And then this is just a little YouTube video that one of the ambassadors over at UVU for Pearson put together to show you how the ebook works. It's kind of cool. Here is critical help for success in the course. This is this video you're watching right now. This is a how to study video. It just kind of goes through my suggestions of how to use the learning outcomes. This is a great module put together by a cognitive psychologist, Dr. Chu, on how to study. So I would strongly recommend this if you feel like you're struggling. Oh, there's our FAQs again. I need to delete that. Every day of class, our TAs will take a picture of whatever I write on the board, and you can access those here. And if I use any kind of PowerPoint in class, I will post it here. If I don't, it just means I forgot. Please email me and ask me for it. All right, so when you get done with class, you're going to come here and do the pre-homework quiz. So for each day, there will be a homework quiz. I haven't changed all the dates on these, so just ignore that. But also, the first few are just for practice to get you into the habit. They'll start counting after the add drop deadline. So you'll take those. They're quick. Like I said, there's 2 attempts. The first attempt you will do just cold turkey, see what you learn. Second attempt is open everything. You can't possibly cheat on it. There's no way to cheat on it. You can use whatever you want. The homework assignments are right here. The very first one I'm having you do is the LCTSR. That is the required research survey. It's actually not just for research. It's to show you where you stand in scientific reasoning. Scientific reasoning is the #1 predictor of success in this class. And so I strongly recommend you read through this, take the survey, and if you don't score so well, go ahead and jump onto this app that we've built to help improve your scientific reasoning ability. Here are the daily homework assignments. Notice we start right in day 1. There is a homework assignment. You'll do it after class. These first few will remain open until after the add drop deadline, just because we'll have to catch everybody. And then you'll see on the days that the test starts, we'll just have a review. There won't be a homework assignment. So those are all the homework assignments. All right, I think that's about it. Oh, and then you can check out the syllabus. It's right here. It goes through the class and the requirements, everything I've basically said here. But if you're wondering about the grading scale or anything like that, it is in the syllabus. I think that's everything. Yeah, so I'm excited to meet all of you, and we're going to have a great class.